أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. صدق الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وسندنا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله. ألف صلاة وألف سلام عليك يا رسول الله. ألف صلاة وألف سلام عليك يا حبيب الله. ألف صلاة وألف سلام عليك يا من وحي الله. The verse says in Surah Al-Baqarah, Bismillah, it was the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was bestowed from on high as a guidance unto mankind. And it is a self-evident proof of that guidance, and as the standard to discern truth from falsehood. It was the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed from high as a guidance unto mankind, and self-evident proof of that guidance, and as the standard to discern truth from falsehood. Quran, as mentioned by the Quran, it was the month of Ramadan that the Quran is revealed. Now we're going to do, inshallah, I think probably we'll may have time to do probably 3 points of this Ramadan treatise here. It's on page 466 of the letters collection, the 29th letter. The first point, an interpretation of this verse as seen. The fast of Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it is one of the greatest of the marks and observances of Islam. The thing that makes us Muslim and represents us as Muslims and is the symbol of Islam, one of the main 5 pillars of this is the fast of Ramadan, the fasting. Now there are many purposes and instances of wisdom in the fast of Ramadan, which looks to both Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominicality and to man's social life, to his own personal life, and the training of his instinctual soul, and to his gratitude for divine bounties. So there are many purposes of the fasting of Ramadan. One part looks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominicality, meaning his ownership, his rulership over everything, and that mankind does what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands them to do, right? And there are many facets of this too, but one part looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominicality, and one part looks to man's social life. What benefits is there during Ramadan that looks to mankind's social life? Another part of the wisdom of fasting during the month of Ramadan is his own personal life and the way in which he trains his own nafs, his own desires, to become a better person, to keep away from all bad habits and everything else, and the training of his nafs, of his self-restraint and everything else. And to his to his gratitude for divine bounties is another part. What is the best means and the best ways in which to show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? So that is another point again. One of the many instances of wisdom in fasting from the point of view of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominicality is as follows. As we said, there are different categories and different wisdoms and different benefits from the fasting point of view. One looks to instinctual soul and how you can reform yourself and you become a better person, right, spiritually and physically refined and cleansed and stuff like that. Secondly, on the part that looks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His dominicality, His ownership of everything, and that you recognize that you are a servant and a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you don't own yourself. Another part again is the way in which your personal life, how you are affected by this fasting. And there are obviously many more, but the main probably categories would be this. Of the many instances of wisdom in the fast of Ramadan, the first one we're looking at is, the first point is the one that looks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominicality, His ownership and His rule and His authority over humanity and the creation of all. Allah Almighty created the face of the earth in the form of a table laden with bounties, and arranged on the table every sort of bounty in the form of, where it says in the Quran, from whence He does not expect, from somewhere that He does not expect. So Allah makes the face of the earth like a massive table. The table is laden with all types of bounties, all types of fruits and pleasures and enjoyments. And these things that you see of varieties of colors and shapes and forms and tastes and smells and everything else, right? This label, the whole earth itself is like a sofra, right? The whole earth is like a table, and you get bounties and pleasures and gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tree itself is like a plate, or when someone brings and serves food to you, they serve it on a plate. In exactly the same way as somebody is holding the food and passing it on to you, the plants, the trees, they hold on with maybe a small, like a ribbon basically, of a stalk, and it says, here, eat. It's like a finger. Somebody is actually giving to you from a little finger, passing it on. You don't need anything like a hacksaw or anything like that to cut it. Just pull it down and take it. Think about grapes, think about apples, think about pears, and think about cherries, and all those type of fruits. They're just like dangling, waiting for you to enjoy. Now the one who brings about these things from whence the person does not expect, as Allah says Himself, in this way, stating that the perfections of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominicality and His mercifulness and His compassionateness. Who is, in another place we'll start explains too, and he asks the question, who is so compassionately nurturing me? We'll start asking, so that we ask ourselves that we understand too. When you look at the universe and you look at the way in which you are nurtured, you look at the way in which bounties are brought to your feet, and we're not just talking about bounties in terms of food, breathing is a bounty too, oxygen. As I sit here, all the bounty of oxygen is bringing to me. I don't have to be in a particular part of the room to breathe. I can go anywhere and be able to enjoy this. So from whence He does not expect. What power does a human being possess in being able to obtain any of these bounties?